Hey everyone, it's me, Cynthia. As you can tell from the title of this video, this isn't my typical content, but I wanted to speak on Black Lives Matter and share resources and amplify Black voices today. It didn't feel right to stay silent on here, especially given that YouTube is my biggest platform. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I've been very vocal the past week with sharing resources and sharing my favorite Black creators in hopes of amplifying their voices. And I really wanted to do the same here. It's felt wrong to see other creators on YouTube continue to post their same content and or stay silent, because I do think that silence is complicity, specifically for those with a platform, with influence, with an audience. So I hope to see other creators speak on this as well. I think that it's so important right now to share resources and to ask people to learn with you. So that's what I'm doing today. If you care about sustainable fashion and ethical fashion too, I want to say you should be equally, if not more, passionate about Black Lives Matter and equity for the Black community. I saw another really good post about how the Black communities and marginalized communities get the worst end of the stick in terms of the results of climate change. I'm gonna link all of the resources that I share in the description box below. I want to start by acknowledging my privilege. I am Asian and a person of color, but I have never had to fear for my own life because of the color of my skin, and I think that's a privilege. And even looking internally at my own biases or at things that are so systemically rooted, I think that if you are not Black or if you're not Indigenous, that we have so much learning to do and so much anti-racist work to do. So I hope that this video can invoke or provoke thought and inspire you to be curious and to learn, because I think it's really important right now. Yeah, I think it's not enough to not be a racist. I think we all need to work towards being anti-racist in our, with ourselves, with our families, with our friends, in our workplaces. And I'm sure that the Black Lives Matter hashtag is going to die down and all of this is going to die down. But the important thing is that this is a marathon and not a sprint. So I hope that we continue to learn about this and speak up about this. The first one that I'm going to share is the Black Lives Matter cards link that has a bunch of resources, including petitions, where to donate, how you can educate yourself more. I think it's so important, if you haven't signed the petitions yet, to please sign the petitions. I know that the 4 officers who killed George Floyd, may he rest in power, they've been arrested and charged, but Breonna Taylor's killers are still roaming free. So today's her birthday, and if you haven't signed her petition, please do. I will link that below. She was an EMT and she was asleep, and the police basically had the wrong address and barged in and shot her 8 times, I'm pretty sure. So for George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and all the other names that we do know and don't know, I hope we continue to say their names and remember their names, and I hope that we have so much work to do. So yeah, if you haven't signed those petitions yet, please do. And if you have the means to donate, I know the Minnesota Freedom Fund has had so many donations, so they're asking people to donate to other organizations, and that cards link has a bunch of links to where you can donate. So if you have the means, please consider that. If you don't have the means right now, a Black woman named Zoe Amira has created a YouTube video featuring art and music by Black creators, and the video has a ton of ads. So I'll share that link to that video below. Please stream the video, watch it through, don't skip the ads. You can mute it if you want to and have it in the background and just keep it playing, and that way we can help her generate all of this revenue that she's going to be donating to these organizations. So that's a really, really easy way for us to help raise money and donate money. Another way that we can show support is to support locally. I think right now it's so important to support our local BIPOC, but especially Black and Indigenous small businesses. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I created a list of some in the Kitchener-Waterloo area because I realized that a lot of them, like, people in the city don't know, and I really wanted to help amplify those businesses. And I've seen similar lists circulate for like Toronto and neighboring cities, so please look for that and support them. Follow them on Instagram, even like a follow, and helping share their stuff in your stories if you can't buy right now, or choosing to do your groceries at a local like Black-owned grocery store instead of at Walmart or something. I think things like that can really make a difference. And if you don't see a list for your city, please consider making one, because anything that we can do to help amplify right now, I think, is helpful. So next, I want to share 5 of my favorite Black influencers. Some of these I've been following for a really long time, and they've taught me so much, and I know there are so many more out there. These are the ones that I've learned from so much and I'm constantly inspired by, so I can confidently recommend them to you. The first one is Aja Barber. On Instagram, she speaks to fashion and sustainable fashion, and I love her work. She's also created a lot of really helpful IGTVs. This one is about performative allyship, and I think I highly recommend watching it. Basically about brands posting like the Black Square, or posting like they support Black Lives Matter, but if you look at their feed, they don't have any diversity or inclusive like representation. Or if you really dig deeper, some brands like L'Oreal fired a Black trans woman for speaking up, and yet they're posting about Black Lives Matter. So that was a really powerful IGTV to watch, and it's really important to look out for brands just posting for optics right now. Another one is the Sustainable Fashion Forum. They have a digital like vault this year of panelists, and basically they took their event and made it digital. I think it's like $35 to access all of it, and I'm slowly watching through all of those too to learn about sustainability. I'm even learning about things like I've never thought of before in the sustainability realm. They also recently shared a post on 13 Black-owned sustainable fashion brands to follow, so they're really helpful, especially if you care about sustainable fashion. And then the next one is Sophia Rowe. She is so vibrant. She's a chef. I discovered her through watching Violette's YouTube channel, which is mostly about like fashion and style, and then Sophia would like create food that's also in the same like color mood. She's also posted some IGTVs on Instagram too, speaking about the Black Lives Matter and how we can do better, and I highly recommend watching those. Another one is Danielle Prescott. She made a really good IGTV, especially because she's a writer in the fashion realm, and about how we weren't there when we should have been speaking up about like a business of fashion having an event and not having any Black influencer there, or things like that. And that was a really powerful IGTV that I highly recommend watching. And then the last account that I found recently is Rachel Cargill. Through her, I've learned a lot about how we can do better for Black Lives Matter, and I learned about Darvo too, which I highly recommend reading about. And then I also wanted to share some movies. There's this post circulating with movies and podcasts and different types of media, because like if you don't want to read a book right now, a film is something that's really easy to watch that you can educate yourself with. 3 of the ones that I've already watched that I highly recommend watching are 13th, which talks about the prison system and basically how we think slavery is over, but instead of Black people being slaves to white people, they're slaves to the state. And also When They See Us, both of those are on Netflix. And then If Beale Street Could Talk is another powerful one that is more fiction, but I think could be based on a true story, but it was really eye-opening. And that one I think is nominated for a film award, and that's why I watched it a few months ago. There's a post on Instagram with these movies, with a lot of movies and podcasts that I highly recommend watching. I'm slowly going through that, so I'll leave that post linked down below too. And then there are a few books that I think, like I recommended White Fragility to so many people who are asking me how they can do better. If you're a white person, I highly recommend reading White Fragility. And also, So You Want to Talk About Race is another really good one, which opened my eyes to viewing white privilege in a different way. Also, for my Asian viewers, I'm Vietnamese. I've been seeing a lot of good posts about Asian allyship and what we can do and how we can have these conversations with our families. One of the most eye-opening things for me was I saw a post about, I'm going to speak about my Vietnamese heritage, even though I'm sure like in the Asian communities there's a lot of resources. My family escaped the Vietnam War to come to Canada, and I'm sure they experienced so much discrimination and racism through that, and for them I am grateful. But to put it into context, the Vietnamese suffered, I think, for about 80 years, but Black people have experienced this for over 400 years. So if you can empathize with your Asian immigrant family, I think that translates into not even close, but a start of what Black people feel. And for those who aren't, for white people, if you've ever experienced trauma, racism is trauma that you can never escape. So if you've experienced trauma, please use that to empathize with how marginalized communities and Black and Indigenous communities feel. If you have Black friends and Indigenous and people of color friends and family, please check in on them right now. It's a really tough time. If you're a manager like me, or if you're a leader on a team, please check in, because it's a tough week. And for anyone who's experienced racism and any racial interaction, this week triggers that, honestly. For me, this week has been really hard because every time I think about it, all of those memories come back. And the fact that that is how I'm feeling right now, it makes me so nauseous. I can't even imagine how Black people feel. So it's so important to check in. It's so important not to expect productivity either. So yeah, I wanted to say that too. And for those of you in my city, in Kitchener, I want to share a bit about my racial experiences here, in hopes that it'll show you that racism is a thing. You might not think it's in your circle or in your city, and I have not been very vocal about this, but I have been pretty vocal, where if you follow me on Instagram, like you've seen, and I don't want to make this about me. I'm sorry if speaking about this makes this about me. My intention with this is to share this with you, to show you that you might not think that this is a thing, but it's because we don't share these things, because white people are never ready to hear about it. But it's not up to us to make you comfortable anymore, and I think it's important to talk about these instances. If you've experienced racial interactions, please talk about them, because that's how we can do better. The city is where I've experienced the most racism outright. Like through my life, I've experienced it obviously as like an Asian kid who didn't want to bring smelly lunches to school and stuff. But I thought as I grew older, I would escape that. But going to university at Laurier, surrounded by white people, and walking the streets at night, and drunk white kids would call me Chink or Jackie Chan, or at parties people would be like, why are your eyes so small? Where'd they go? Shit like that I could never speak up about, because you seem like the sensitive type, or you seem like you're no fun. Or I live in downtown Kitchener, so when I'm walking on the streets and like an old white man would grumble under his breath, like, get out of here, Chink, or you fucking Asian, or like instances like that that ruin my entire day when I'm walking to work. Yet I don't talk about it because, again, I would be seen as a sensitive or hard to work with person. I think it's important for us to share those instances now, because now is when everyone is listening. Now is when everyone is ready to listen. Now is when we aren't seen as difficult to work with by speaking up. And that itself is something that I hope provokes some thought And I think sharing and talking about those experiences is going to help us get somewhere and lead to productive conversations. But also know that though those are my experiences, it is a privilege to never fear for our own lives because of the color of our skin. And that is why Black Lives Matter is the most important priority right now, because Black people are still being killed with no reason, and that is an injustice. So I'm very passionate about this, obviously, because I've experienced racism, and I acknowledge my privilege there, and I acknowledge that as a non-Black person I have so much work to do. So I hope that this can inspire you too, to realize that if you are not Black and if you are not Indigenous, that as people of color we also have privilege we should recognize. And if you're a white person, please read about white supremacy, read about how it's embedded in our systems, read about how to be anti-racist. Thank you everyone who's listened all the way to the end. I hope that you check out all the resources below. I hope to see other creators on YouTube post about Black Lives Matter and not stay silent, or at least stop posting your regular content. Holy shit, I do not want to see your white privileged life right now without any acknowledgement of the Black Lives Matter revolution happening. It honestly makes me nauseous and disgusted and disappointed and infuriated. And I think it's important also, I'm going to continue to look out for this as I support my brand. I have been paying very close attention to brands that I've loved, and I've lost some respect for some of them, and I've gained more respect for some of them. So as I share and work with brands in the future, I will include diversity and anti-racism as a requirement for me to support a brand. So yeah, I think this is a good start. I hope that you will learn with me to do anti-racist work, to do the learning, the unlearning, and the relearning that we need to. And please call me out for anything I've said in this video if it was wrong, and I apologize beforehand because I'm also learning. And if you have any other resources that you found helpful, please comment them down below. If you are watching this and you are a Black influencer or a creator that's also smaller that I can help amplify, please comment down below and or message me on Instagram, and I will do everything I can to help you. I will see you in my next video. I love you all. If you're going to protests, please be careful and stay safe. I'm so happy the one that I went to, it was organized so well, and I'm so grateful for the organizers, and I'm so grateful that it was peaceful. And I cannot believe the police brutality that's happening at these protests either. Police need to be defunded. Learn about that too. Anyway, I'll see you in my next video. I love you all.